Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're talking about X-Men issue 5 from May 1964, and we were left on that cliffhanger as we often are in comics. But in the at the end of the previous issue, Professor X, his powers were deadened, so he was caught with this explosion. And the big reveal at the end was he no longer had his powers, and I think the X-Men were sort of lost at sea, weren't they, a little bit about what to do. This has left the X-Men devastated. Their great leader, Charles Xavier, is without his powers. And how is that going to be resolved? Will that be resolved in this issue? Let's find out. So we've got the front cover here. So this follows on from the previous issue where the evil Brotherhood of Mutants debuted, along with Scarlet Witch, who's still green on the front cover, and Quicksilver, who's blue. He's actually green inside the comic. So really unsure what's happened with the colours there. But they return. So here they are, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants here. We've got Angel trapped, who's all covered in red. I guess that's telling us he's in some danger. And then you got the rest of the X-Men on the scene. Here's Bobby throwing another harmless snowball. That's probably not going to hurt anybody. So let's get inside and see what happens. So this first page, I think it's a really great image. I really love how Cyclops is here. He takes up most of this room here, and it's a really good view of him front on. Love the beams in his eyes. Here, look, there we've got Charles looking very dejected. He's got this blanket or whatever it's around him, and he's not looking in great shape as he looks really sad, and Jean's pushing him along. Angel's still flying around. I mean, maybe you should have just, read the room a little bit and just walked around a little bit, not make him feel so bad. Beast is still, hopping around on all fours, and Bobby's looking very stoic, actually, very quiet for a change. What they promised us this time, look, is the return of the evil mutants, and it's going to be even better than ever, they tell us. So let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into it. So on this page, Bobby says he's got to wait to defrost to be able to use his keys to get through the door. There's a lot going on there to unpack. So he's got his keys on him, or he just can't use the key. Seems really strange that he just can't open his own door, but there you go. And they treat Professor X almost like a sleeping baby or a fragile old man. So they're gently putting him down to sleep and putting this jacket around him. And they're all very concerned. I think they're starting to face the possibility, the very real possibility, that Charles might not be able to lead the X-Men anymore as the leader, as the mentor, and as a father figure. And they're starting to lament the fact that they could even be on their own from now on, but they're going to march bravely on. But a car is approaching, so it's almost like a cliffhanger within the page. So let's move on to the next page. On this page, we find out it's Jean's parents that are coming to visit. So quickly, they mop up, and Iceman, he just skates underneath Beast as he hops over. Nice little panel that I do quite enjoy that one. Bobby defrosts himself again, but they're showing the guys in their various stages of getting ready and being normal. So Angel packs his wings away, Beast gets dressed, and Scott puts his glasses on. And they start to look more like normal teenagers, don't they? And they answer the door, and Jean's mother, who looks very much like her, doesn't she, with the hair and everything, she answers the door and says, "What a wonderful surprise." So here we've got Jean's parents being introduced around the group, and they're making a good show of making everything look normal. So it's an interesting panel here that we learn that the government have actually recommended this school, and it's been classified top secret, that what they do here at the school. So it sort of makes it seem like they're in cahoots with the government. I'm not sure if that will be the case going forwards, because it's always a bit weird, secret identities and whatnot. I mean, at this point, so it does seem very much like they are in cahoots with the government right now. I'm going to keep an eye on whether that will remain the case over the coming issues, but I suspect not. I think once the prejudice starts from the humans, that might get dropped. So Hank talks about the danger room and pretends it's a gym, and whoops, before you know it, Scott's trapped in there. But this is Beast's program, so can he survive Beast's danger room setup and I guess not alert the parents? So at the moment, this is a very sort of low stakes story compared to last week. It can't be high stakes every time, so at the moment it is very much just make sure Charles is okay and Jean's parents don't find out what's going on. I assume that the issue will pick up further on in a couple of pages, but for now it is pretty low stakes. Scott does survive, but only by blasting things away. So Beast would obviously have hopped around everything, but Scott, he tries, but instantly he's like, I've got to zap it, and he destroys half the danger room. But he has to survive, and even as he comes out, his real only thought is the hope that no one's heard him and he hasn't given the game away. And there's a little bit down here that says, typical of the caliber of the X-Men is the fact that even in his moment of trial, the youth known as Cyclops thinks first of others. So, yeah, there you go. So there's a bit to digest here on this page. So Jean's parents leave, and I really like this panel here where they talk about Charles Xavier, and just he's a person, a feeling of confidence in him. He almost seems to know what you're thinking, which is really great, isn't it? But here, lurking in the background, is Mastermind, and he's looking for the X-Men without success. This panel, he says, it's no use the X-Men are too well hidden. No matter where I search, there is no trace of them. I'm a bit confused about how he knows to check in this general vicinity. Sometimes these stories seem quite small. So on the previous on the previous issue, Angel just so happened to spot the boat that they were on. Out of all the millions of places they could be on the sea, they just happened to come across that exact area. And I wonder if that's a bit of a similar thing here with Mastermind. I mean, he's walking around this sort of neighborhood or wherever it is, this general vicinity of where the school is, and he just can't quite find them. So is that by luck he happens to be in that certain area, or has he got a general idea of where they are? That bit's not really explained, and I imagine it's probably not going to be. But down here, ahead of its time, look, he checks his Apple Watch. He's FaceTiming Magneto. Isn't it great that some of these things from the 60s and 70s, I get it sometimes when I watch Star Trek and they've got like iPads but thicker. So, it's great when you see stuff like this, when you can actually do that now, can't you, pretty much? But he gets picked up by Quicksilver and they make their way back to HQ. Here, they arrive at Asteroid M. I can't believe how soon that's come into it. So Asteroid M is something that will pop up again and again in the future for decades to come. Even in the cartoon and whatnot, it's there. But here it is now on issue 5. So again, I love how a lot of these early concepts have survived. But here they are. They arrive at Asteroid M. And as Quicksilver and Mastermind board Asteroid M, they're greeted by a Toad who wants to jump on them and play tricks, and they're running around each other and causing harm to one another. Look, they're just, I mean, I guess in some way it mirrors the X-Men in their wacky hijinks. I don't know if you can describe it better than that, but they often play hard. But here it is quite menacing. I'm almost reminded of, I like to watch a lot of Transformers. It's almost like the Decepticons, a lot of infighting. But here's the leader. It would be Megatron, but here it's Magneto. He arrives and dispel your illusion instantly at the command of Magneto. It's a very similar dynamic to the Decepticons. I hope that's a fair comparison. But I assume he's going to bring them to heel now. Up here, Toad's a great character, but I hate him as well. So don't let them get away with it, Master. Punish him. And it's all their fault. They're all failures. Only I am loyal to you, Master. He's almost like Gollum in a way. I wonder if he was an inspiration for Toad, but he's got very similar characteristics to Gollum, hasn't he? And I love how Magneto towers over him and be silent. Do you understand, Toad? I can almost hear him shouting at Toad. Look how Toad's sort of cowering. I really like that panel. It's my favorite panel on the page. And even here, it looks like, we talked about it in the last issue, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. They're going to turn on Magneto sooner or later. They're not going to keep taking this punishment. So he tells them to be quiet and remember their place, and they do not dictate to Magneto. He makes the decisions. And this panel down here, he's sort of protecting Wanda. Look at this body language. He's almost turning her away to protect her. It's almost like they're ready to turn their backs on him almost. And it's going to come this issue or next. It's got to, hasn't it? So they're going to turn good shortly, I would have thought. But here he tells Toad he's got a plan, and he's going to use Toad in his plan. And let's see what he comes up with. And just to close off that previous scene, Magneto says, basically, I've got my plan, and if you fail, if you make a mistake, you'll face my wrath. So we'll have to wait and see what he's got in store for him. But over here, you've got this great little moment where Scott's, brooding again and reading his textbooks, and Bobby says, why don't you come watch TV with us? And look, Cyclops goes absolutely mental. He fires his beam at him, and how can you think about watching TV at a time like this? Professor X has lost his powers. We don't know when the bad guys will strike again. He's so serious, isn't he, Scott, all the time? He doesn't let up for a moment. But everyone's downstairs watching TV, and they're talking about someone here. They say, keep watching, you'll see what I mean in any second now. So again, they're very good, aren't they? I'm getting you on that last panel. So if you're, if you're reading this in the shop or whatever, you're going to have to end up buying it because you have to keep flipping to see what they're talking about, what's going to happen next. And I think we're starting to get a measure of what Magneto's plan is. So they turn on the TV, and that's got to be Toad, right? He's participating in these games, and he's hopping over everybody as he's running, hopping over the high jump, over all these hurdles. And the X-Men are concerned they're going to go down there and help this poor mutant who's incurring the wrath of the crowd. And I suppose it's a good job they happen to be watching that channel, isn't it? So Magneto's plan wouldn't have worked if they were watching one of the soaps instead. But there you go. So I think we know what's going to happen. They're going to be lured out here to this stadium, aren't they? So let's see what happens next. Charles speaks for the first time, I think, in the comic. I think it's the first time. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. I'm here. I ain't got any powers. I can't help you anyway. I guess I'll just watch TV. So the guys make their way to the stadium. I'm sure it's Toad. It looks a lot like him. They pick him up, try and make off with him, but it's too heavy for the X-Men, and they run into problems. They can't get the car out of the way. They've been overrun quite quickly by this crowd, aren't they? So it's not looking good for them at the moment, is it? So it looks like they're just about holding them off, but I think things are about to take a dark turn. This is all a bit ridiculous, this page, really. So they a second ago there was a baying mob, but now they've got away and jumped on the subway just in all their superhero get up, and they're just in the carriage, and they did this with Beast, in I think it was the first issue where they've hopped on the train, but don't worry, we paid our fare just like everybody else. So what, did they stop and pay? Did they? How does that work exactly? But they go to great lengths to let you know that they wouldn't even dare hop a ride for free. They're the good citizens and they pay. I don't know how I feel about that, really. I think that's a bit silly, really. A second ago, they were fighting for their lives against this baying mob, but now they've run to the subway and they've paid to get on. I don't know. But the demasked Toad, we, as the reader, knew who that was going to be. We didn't fall for it, did we? But I think the idea was that they were going to take him back to their HQ, which we know as the mansion. But it's not quite worked out that way, and Toad is unleashed. So the X-Men make short work of Toad, don't they? It looks like they are working more cohesively than they have been in the previous issues when they've just been starting out. So combined, Bobby's throwing some ice, he slips, and Angel spins him. So it looks like the X-Men are performing so much better together. But enter Magneto, and he takes his clock apart. But what a great panel this is, by the way. I really like this one. So he takes it apart with his powers, and he's going to start using it as like shrapnel and firing it at them all. This is a great page. So it's been a relatively quiet issue up to now, with Jean's parents and then going to the stadium to find Toad. It's been all over the place, really. There's been a lot going on, and at the same time, not a lot happening. But now we have got that big rematch going on between the Evil Brotherhood and our X-Men. So Magneto, he's so overpowered, isn't he, compared to these guys? He just rips a load of track up and just completely encapes his Angel in it. So he's out for the count, I guess. I don't know what they can do for him. Scarlet Witch gets involved. At this point, we don't know the extent of her powers. I mean, in the future, we know that she's an extremely powerful individual, extremely powerful. Her and Jean Grey are just off the charts in the future, but at the moment, she's just using her powers. And I think they're very much like Jean's telekinesis, but they call it a hex power here. And then you've got Bobby fighting multiple masterminds. So we know there's only one. So he swings some ice around like a club. And so I think all of that was an illusion. But here's Jean Grey. She's got the measure of mastermind. So there's a lot happening here. This looks like it's only taken a couple of seconds, but it's taken all these panels just to show us all this crazy action that's going on. So the fight looks like it's coming to a bit of a conclusion. What I like about here is that Quicksilver's got hold of Cyclops, but he thinks to himself he didn't realise he could fire his beams without using his hands. And this is a great panel. This is the best panel of the page. So it looks like he's running around his beams. You can almost imagine that happening, can't you? Zip, zip, zip. But he gets away, and the guys, the evil Brotherhood of Mutants, they decide we're just going to make off with Angel. So this harks back to the cover art where they've got Angel locked away. So they take him and they just forget the Toad, run, leave him. Like all good bad guys do, they leave one of their own, and they decide to take hostage en route. So Mastermind is going to leave something behind to keep them occupied. Let's see what it is. There's a lot to digest here, look. So Mastermind sets an imaginary rhino into the crowd and causes havoc. It's a really great distraction, isn't it? So the X-Men, they quickly lose sight of where they've gone. And they've got their hands tied and they're occupied over here. But here, this is absolutely ridiculous. Look, so we've got a magnetically powered plane, and it's got a big magnet on because obviously Magneto. I don't think it needs that. It could just be metal, couldn't it? But I guess just for the wow factor. Look at that big magnet with a plane on it. It's even got the M. But they board the plane and make the getaway, and very quickly takes us back to Asteroid M, and we've got Angel locked up, and he's not torturing him, but it might go that way. So tell me where the headquarters is, and I want to find Professor X, and I'll set you free if you tell me. This is a very telling panel down here. Only death will free you from me. You'll have to talk. So he's threatening to kill him. And here's Scarlet Witch. Look at her face. She's very concerned. And you never told me that we would ever descend to murder. So she is. The cracks are showing big time now, aren't they, in this relationship between Magneto and Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver? If it's not this issue, it's got to be the next one. Surely this can't continue. They're going to have to break away sooner or later and help the X-Men. So he is actually torturing Angel over on this page. So it's like a psychological torture. So he uses these light beams to make it so he can't rest. He can't get any sleep or anything. I don't know what it's doing exactly. And he's got this horrible noise, but it doesn't break him. And Magneto is sort of half complimentary to Professor X. What is this training? How is he not broken yet? And it's very disturbing, isn't it? What's happening up here? But it's almost like an ironic thing going on down here, because it looks like whatever's happening up here is having some adverse effects on Toad, or it might be something he's done to Toad previously. So he feels compelled to return to Magneto, and it looks like the X-Men are happy to stand back and just let Toad wander off and see where he goes. So it looks like whatever's happening up here could be Magneto's own undoing with Toad in one way or another. This is very, another contrived convenience where Toad's got this device that can call down a pod with an M on it again. He likes letting everyone know whose stuff it is, but it's something that he can return back to Asteroid M with, and the X-Men jump on with him. So very convenient way to get them back up there not back up there, not been before, but up to Asteroid M for that one last confrontation, try and rescue Angel. And Mastermind was not expecting Toad back, and the X-Men seized the opportunity and take the initiative and jump out and start fighting straight away, catch them by surprise, hopefully. I really like this down here. This is very interesting, where Mastermind makes Beast feel like his legs are turned to jelly, and it's almost like this logical part is my brain is aware that it's an illusion, but I still can't move my legs, and that just shows us how powerful those illusions are. So Hank knows it's an illusion. He can still do nothing about it. So the unconscious part of his brain will not let him undo this powerful illusion that Mastermind's pinned on him there. So that is fascinating. Mastermind breaks his own hold on Beast to get a shot away, and that gives Beast just enough time to escape. So I really like this panel. It shows a nice bit of action there. It's a very good panel for storytelling, look, because you can. It's doing a lot of work, isn't it, with all this bouncing around. I really like how that's all arranged. Cyclops fires his beam at his gun. I think Mastermind's almost out of the game here now, but he rushes in to tell Magneto, and he's got some sort of device here that enhances his powers. I think in the future, Magneto will be a lot more powerful. Again, we talk about it every issue, but his power set's still in flux. So one issue, we can go into the astral plane, and in the future, I'm not sure if we can do that or not. And here he needs a device to amplify his powers. I would argue in the future, he's extremely powerful, and he would need no such thing like this today, would he, to do anything on that asteroid? But yeah, he uses it to help control the rest of the asteroid, and he's somehow got some mega headphones on Jean Grey, and he's doing something to to make it so she can't concentrate and use the power of her brain. The X-Men are able to thwart Magneto's asteroid defenses, so they get away. They manage to free one another, and Magneto pretty much says, "I'm going to blast them out into space and kill them all." And I believe him. I think he would. And down here, yes, it's happening. Look, the face turn that we knew was coming. Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, they say, "No, Magneto, you can't, you mustn't." And she puts a hex on the control panel to make it so he can't kill them and send them off into space. And this is it. It's all happening now, isn't it? So you dare defy the will of Magneto, I'll teach you a lesson. You'll do nothing to my sister while Quicksilver lives. So this is it, the big turn. We've only got a couple of pages left in the issue, so I think it's all about to crack off. So up here, Quicksilver says he'll do whatever he has to do to protect his sister Wanda, and she says, "Be careful, Pietro." So this panel it's quite good because they've gone from being Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch to using their real names to show us that they are people underneath those masks. Well, I know Quicksilver's not wearing a mask, but beneath the superhero exterior, they are actual human beings who have thoughts and feelings and are good inside. But the party's broken up before these two can have any kind of showdown. So Cyclops bursts through. It's that accursed Cyclops and his power beam. So they're still not friendly with the X-Men just yet, but that doesn't stop Scott trying to recruit them. He quite rightly reads the situation. He reads the room and notices that, they're all about to fall out, and he thinks he can pull them. He feels the good in them. And interestingly here, Pietro says, "I hate Magneto more than anyone knows." But they've got a deal, so he's got to try and help him. And they have this fight, and it's almost like I would expect Quicksilver to have the beating of Cyclops pretty quickly, but they make it almost a fair fight. And this panel down here, it's a little silly, I think. So you came too near, now I've got you. Don't make me use my power beam on you. Stop, I'll put a hex on Cyclops. So it's a bit camp, that bit there, I've got to be honest, a bit silly. So I think it's another one of those things where if it was on the screen in a movie, it would all happen so quick. But here, because you can't see it happening, they have to describe what's going on through the dialogue. So it's one of the necessary evils with comics sometimes. But down here, the X-Men have found Angel. They're desperately trying to break him free. They're able to actually free Angel by throwing something mentally at the glass. I don't know why that's any better than what they were doing a second ago, but it's a way to show that she's used her powers to free him, and he gets out. And Mastermind tries one last time to sort of scare them into defeat. So he makes this horrible monster, but they're wise to it now. They're wise to his games. They fly through, and I think Mastermind, his days are numbered really when it comes to fighting the X-Men. I think they've figured him out, and I think they're just about to take control of him. But I love this down here. "Stop your whining, Mastermind," as he's cowering behind this door, look, which is really funny. But what he does, it doesn't work. So they fly out of the way, and Magneto thinks to himself, like, they're all faster than I thought, and they're looking after each other and saving one another. But wait, what's that rumbling sound? Can it be what I think? I don't know what it is, so we better find out. And what's happening is Asteroid M is actually starting to break up. Magneto takes the opportunity. He, instead of going for safety and saving his friends, if that's the right word, his colleagues, his associates, takes the opportunity to try and kill Cyclops. So it's one of those things you get where instead of just killing him, he throws him in this airlock to be killed by being exposed to space. He could have just killed him, but it's almost like a Bond villain. But he throws him in there. You'll die eventually. But it looks like the X-Men have got other plans, so they make this snow tunnel, and they're going to go and rescue Scott. So the X-Men rescue Scott, and they find another convenient way to get back to Earth. There's some sort of escape pod they jump in. They land on the Earth, and all's well. They return back to the X-Mansion to give their report to Xavier, who reveals he's had his powers this whole bloody time. And look at his smug face here. So I was just testing you, basically, and this is like an exam. I mean, the fate of the world might have been at stake here, and there's arguments for and against this. I fall on the side of, if he had his powers, he should have used them, and one of them could have been killed up there. I think Cyclops and Angel. I mean, Angel was being tortured this second half of the issue, and he just sort of let that happen. Got mixed thoughts on that. I didn't know that was going to be the thing. I believed him. He tricked me as well. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. I've got mixed feelings about it. And from a teaching point of view, I get it as a teaching moment, but something really bad could have happened. I mean, at the stadium, someone, a member of the public could have been killed. But on the other hand, they are, they have improved. They've gained some XP, haven't they? They've leveled up in this issue, the X-Men, because they've had to fend for themselves. So there's arguments for and against there, but I think that's a bit snaky from the professor, and I'm not happy with that. I'd be absolutely furious if I was one of the X-Men. If I'm being, I'd be like Beast down here. I'd be absolutely livid at that. But Charles is dead chuffed with himself, and he's really happy. And this feels like a bit of a bookend to this little storyline. So it feels like it's been 2 or 3 issues in the making, and it's come to an end. And I think this is why the editors here have made a note to say, make sure you do come back, because it's going to be even better after this. And I guess they're worried that people will feel like this is an ending of some sort. But no, and of course it's not. We know it's not, because there's another 60 years worth of X-Men to come. So let's see what they've got in store for us on the next issue. So here, look, we've got Submariner joins the Evil Mutants. That's Namor, right? Yes, it's got to be with the little wings on his feet and everything. Namor is not a character I know super well, if I'm being honest, apart from the latest Black Panther movies. He's sort of been on the periphery for me in Marvel. So this will be a really interesting issue to see what happens. We've got another huge magnet here. Good Lord. And finally, Scarlet Witch has got a normal colours there, even though she's a bit out of focus. But they've still got Quicksilver and blue. Very interesting. But it looks like it's going to be another great issue. I'm really looking forward to this one. And hopefully you'll join me on the next issue. If you enjoyed this one here, please remember to like and subscribe and join us for issue 6. That'll be coming soon. And look forward to seeing Namor in issue 6. So thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.